Right now at noon, authorities search for a man wanted for assault in Newton County.
And we've got a hot day ahead of us today, and we could have record-breaking temperatures by the end of the week. We'll take a look at your forecast coming up.
And the White House tracks fallout after a short-lived revolt that posed a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin's power.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The manhunt continues for a Southwest Missouri man wanted for beating someone with a baseball bat and wounding them with a weapon. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Newton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Sean England. He's charged with felony first-degree assault and felony armed criminal action. On June 10th, court documents show England assaulted a victim with a baseball bat and wounded the individual as he fired a weapon. The Newton County Sheriff says England should be considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not try to apprehend him. Call 911. If you have any information, please call 417-451-8333. Well, the dog days of summer are arriving early this year. Chris Warner joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty hot day for us today, but this is going to be nothing compared to how the week is going to wrap up. We'll have more on that full forecast here in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about where we started. We started at 70 yesterday and made it up to 91. So above our averages by just a wee bit, but not near records. And this is the thing that's most concerning is we're about 7.5 inches off the pace for the year so far for rain and almost 1.5 inches down for the month of June. And that is not news that we need given the drought situation, but we are potentially looking at a few more rounds of rain next week. We'll take a look at that as well. Right now we got 84 in Joplin, 82 Pittsburgh, warmer to the west, lots of 85s. Chanute, Parsons, Neodesha, Sedan, 86 Oswego, Miami, 87 in Welch right now. We're sitting 82 Lamar, 83 in Carthage. So here's what we are keeping an eye on. We've got dangerous heat potentially this week with temperatures pushing into the lower 100s. We do have the possibility of a few showers as we head into tomorrow morning and then again on Wednesday morning. And as I mentioned, we have better rain chances as we head into next week. We're going to take a look at that full forecast, break down our immediate rain chances, and let you know how the 4th of July week is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Powerful storms over the weekend knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of residents throughout parts of the South and the Ohio Valley. The storms spawned tornadoes, damaging more than 75 homes and killing at least 1 person in Indiana. Heat advisories continue for large swaths of the South as the oppressive heat pushes temps into the 100s and causes thousands more power outages. An uneasy calm has returned to Russia after a short-lived armed rebellion over the weekend shakes President Vladimir Putin and his government. Natalie Brand has the latest.
President Biden and U.S. allies are watching very closely after mercenary troops initially fighting for Russia revolted. The leader of the group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, marched his troops within 120 miles of Moscow before both sides called a truce. Most analysts see the unrest as an unprecedented challenge to Russian President Vladimir Putin's 23-year reign.
These extraordinary events not only give the appearance of weakness, but actually show real weakness by Putin.
Tensions have been growing for months between Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, and Russian defense officials. Prigozhin accused the Russian military of killing his men with a missile strike in Ukraine. On Saturday, Wagner troops crossed into Russia and headed toward the capital. They halted after Russia ally Belarus helped negotiate a deal. As part of the agreement, criminal charges against Prigozhin would be dropped and he would go into exile in Belarus. President Biden has been meeting with his top national security advisors. The Secretary of State calls it an unfolding story and says he believes we haven't seen the last act. John Sullivan is the former U.S. ambassador to Russia.
I would think the preeminent concern of American officials today, who's in control in Moscow, and in particular, who's controlling the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian soldiers took advantage of the chaos in Russia to go on the attack, clearing Russian trenches near the town of Bakhmut. It's part of a major counteroffensive operation aimed at driving Russian troops out of Ukraine. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Prigozhin and his Wagner group have been fighting on Russia's behalf for years. Many don't believe the leader will stay in exile, and many also believe he could also be a target for Russian assassins. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, the latest push for electric vehicle makers to tune back into AM radio. And later, we're making garlic steamed clams in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Well, Americans have had a century-long love affair with AM radio, but some new electric vehicles no longer have it. Chris Van Cleve has more on the efforts to keep the airwaves coming in loud and clear through car radios.
As you approach the McCluggage Bridge.
For nearly 100 years, WMBD has been covering and talking about the news in central Illinois from 1470 on the AM dial, but not anymore for drivers of a number of new electric vehicles. A host of automakers have pulled AM radio tuners from their cars, saying the EV batteries can interfere with reception.
They've been around a long time.
Greg Batten is the Greg in the Dan and Greg Show, heard mornings on WMBD for nearly 20 years.
I'm not worried that we can't adapt to those changes, but it doesn't help when you yank away a few million radios and say, well, those folks can't listen to you ever.
During a hearing on Capitol Hill this month, first responders argued AM radio serves as the backbone of the nation's emergency alert system.
When disaster strikes, no one should lose access to this essential information because the vehicle being driven does not have AM radio.
This has been something that
Scott Schmidt from the trade association representing automakers told Congress the vast majority of cars still have AM radio, and the decision to pull it from some EVs was not made lightly.
our members view that there are more options for delivering content and alerts now in vehicles than there ever were.
But that drive to tune out AM radio is prompting unusual bipartisan agreement between the very liberal Senator Ed Markey and the very conservative Senator Ted Cruz. They are now co-sponsoring a bill to require AM radio stay in vehicles. While automakers call the proposed legislation distinctly non-essential, Ford reversed course, dropping plans to remove AM radio from all its new vehicles and will return it to all 2023 EVs in the coming weeks. Ford's Donna Dixon is the lead engineer for the electric Mustang Mach-E.
We talked and listened to our customers, just the customers telling us, hey, there's some emergency broadcast frequencies that still aren't available.
Why take it out at all? It seems like it's not broke, don't fix it kind of problem.
And we'll continue to watch it as we go forward to make sure that it's available.
Mach-E owner Keith Rice is glad to hear it's staying.
I just think there's too many things on AM radio that people still use.
WMBD.
Something that's never far from Greg Batten's mind whenever that on-air light turns red. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Peoria, Illinois.
Well, there are nearly 4,500 AM radio stations across the country heard by nearly 82 million Americans every week. Well, 4 staters are keeping another valuable airwave alive, the ham radio. They gathered for a summer field day on Sunday, and during the event, thousands of amateur radio operators across the United States transmit to one another to demonstrate the science and skill behind ham radios. Members of Lamar's Kilowatt Amateur Radio Club say they are not strangers to the service they're providing the community.
We have a repeater here in Lamar, and it links up with National Weather Service in Springfield. We have what's called WeatherNet. So during severe weather, anywhere in our area, we will link up with National Weather Service so our storm spotters can give us real-time information over the radio, and NWS is listening. So NWS is getting real-time information from our storm spotters.
Field Day started back in 1933. The annual event emphasizes the need for ham radio operators as they contribute to public service, emergency preparedness, and community outreach. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Throw on your clam diggers and bring your appetite, because we're whipping up a summertime favorite. I promise, these will melt in your mouth.
But first, we're tracking the potential for some dangerous heat as we head toward the end of the week. We do also have at least some rain chances in the forecast. We'll look at all that when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. We've got sunny skies, we've got hot conditions as we head into our afternoon today, and unfortunately we've got even hotter conditions as we head toward the end of the week, and even potentially record-breaking heat as we head toward the end of this week. Let's first talk about those possible rain chances. Now for today, we're just clear, we are hot, we are dry, but as we head later into the evening and more so into tomorrow morning, say just before sunrise or right around, could see a few isolated to widely scattered showers across the area. And take a look, this is going to be hit and miss. Most of us will remain dry, unfortunately, as we head through our Tuesday, and then we'll otherwise just get even warmer than what we are today. Even though we'll see a few passing clouds, that's not going to make a bit of difference as we head into tomorrow afternoon. It's still going to be hot. Look at this. This is 9 o'clock. Temperatures low to mid 80s at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. But then we've got this. This is about midnight. We've got a big batch of showers and thunderstorms expected to roll across the area just right along the Kansas-Oklahoma border, and it looks to bring a fair amount of rain. Now, at this point, I know what this looks like. People see these brighter colors and they go, oh my goodness. Right now, we're not anticipating any strong or severe thunderstorms. It's not to say that we couldn't see a strong storm or two, depending on how this plays out. But as we go into the early morning hours of Wednesday, that batch of showers and thunderstorms will roll on through. Could have a couple of isolated showers back behind that, and then we're going to dry out again and start to heat up starting Wednesday. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line. We're looking good out there, hot but good, and same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. Plentiful sunshine out there. And the good news is it's fairly dry. And what I mean by that is in terms of dew point humidity, that's scaled back a bit, so we're not dealing with significant heat index values. As a matter of fact, we're technically dealing with wind chills, so you really can't tell. We're sitting at 84 in Joplin, dew points at 50, humidity 31%. The other problem with that, though, is, of course, with those dry conditions, it makes any kind of burning, or if you're setting off fireworks, makes that very dangerous. You need to be very cautious out there. We're sitting at 82 in Pittsburgh, 29% humidity, so very dry air right now, but of course that's going to begin to change. We've got low to mid 80s across the area, 81 Nevada, 82 Pittsburgh, 85 Parsons, Chanute, 86s in Chatopa, Miami, and Veneta, 82 in Neosho. As we head into the rest of our afternoon, still looking to make it right around 90 degrees, sunny skies, hot as can be. And with that said, our UV index for today is at an extreme. The maximum level here at an 11. That means you could burn in less than 10 minutes of exposure out there. So you need to make sure you've got a hat, sunglasses, some sunscreen, find some shade, and limit your time outside. And of course, with the heat, you want to make sure that you are also staying hydrated. We stay warm through the evening. We'll go clear overnight initially until we see those thunderstorm chances. And we're looking at lows into the upper 60s. I wanted to talk about our records. Wednesday, the record 102 in 2012. That's what our forecast high is. We'll show you the 7-day in a moment. Thursday, the record was 103. We could break that, and we could also break Friday's record high as well if these temperatures hold, and I'm sure many of us are hoping that they do not. All right, look at those temperatures, though. 106 on Thursday. And that's the thing, is through the morning, each update longer down the road or further down the road has suggested an increase in temperatures. We got those pop-up storm chances this weekend as well, low 90s, and I wanted to touch on the 4th of July holiday week up ahead. We are looking at scattered thunderstorm chances and pop-up thunderstorm chances almost every day from Saturday through Friday of next week. So don't cancel your plans. These are going to be pop-up. They're going to be scattered, but do keep an eye to the sky. Be prepared to maybe move indoors if you need to for a moment. Outside of those pop-up storm chances, though, this weekend, the coolest it's going to be for a while, because next week we go right back into the mid to upper 90s across the area. So the big emphasis, though, is this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, we're talking triple digits. We're talking humidity levels increasing a bit. It's going to make it dangerous to be out there, so do be careful. Take plenty of precautions, take breaks, and stay hydrated.
We're going to need those pop-up showers because, you know, as we get closer to the 4th, more fireworks going off, it's going to be extremely dry by this weekend with that heat.
It's definitely going to be. So that's the other thing. Make sure you're being cautious setting off fireworks next week.
And even if you're doing it now.
If you're doing it now, you probably shouldn't be, but definitely be cautious now as well.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making garlic steamed clams after the break. Whether love is in the air or you're just hanging out with a good friend, we have the perfect dinner for two. Howard shows us how to make garlic steamed clams in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you've had the great fortune of either visiting or growing up in part of the country where fresh clams are in abundance all summer long, lucky for you. For those of you who may not have had this opportunity, once you try these fresh steamed clams that we're making today, you'll know what all the hullabaloo is about. Here we have about 5 pounds of fresh little neck clams. Since they're small, they're great to steam and are super tender. After washing them to remove any sand, we set them aside to drain. Now, meanwhile, in a large pot, we saute some garlic and a bit of olive oil. When it's tender, we add some white wine. After it boils, which takes no time at all, we add our clams. Make sure to cover them so that they really steam. Then we'll add some butter and a bit of crushed red pepper, and we'll let them steam a bit more until they open up. All that's left to do is dump these in a large bowl, along with all that flavorful broth, and let everyone go to town. Maybe serve them up with some crusty garlic bread for Dunkin' and let the party begin. To get the taste of summer as soon as today, head over to our website and look for what we call garlic steamed clams. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an ocean fresh way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
All right, so we've got the dangerous, potentially record-breaking heat to close out the week. Temperatures into the triple digits. We do have the morning shower chances tomorrow and overnight thunderstorm chances into Wednesday. Some pop-up storms as we head into this weekend and just a little bit cooler as we drop back into the low 90s. But definitely Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just make sure you're taking precautions, staying hydrated out there.
Yes, indeed.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, a lot at 5. For starters, June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. It's a time for raising awareness about the staggering number of people who suffer from dementia worldwide. In Health Watch, we're going to meet a family who's supporting one another after their mother was diagnosed. Plus, a look inside Joplin's brand new dental school. And the latest Consumer Report shows Oklahomans are growing more marijuana than the state needs. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.